discussing the issues and celebrating the successes of the African American community. This is Another View.
Hello, I'm Lisa Godley, co-producer of Another View, filling in for our host, Barbara Hambley, who is celebrating the birth of her first grandchild, and we would like to wish her much congratulations. And on that note, I am going to shift to a topic that is frequently on the minds of the region's drivers. That's transportation, what's being done to improve the conditions here in Hampton Roads, and who's on the lookout to ensure that minority businesses aren't left out of the loop when it comes to building Virginia's much-needed transportation projects. Joining me now to discuss these issues, the Honorable Yvonne Miller, Chair of the State Senate Transportation Committee, Prescott Sherrod, the President of the Conference on Minority Transportation Officials, or COMTO, Tamara Poulson, the Community Relations Specialist for the Hampton Roads Transit, and Shelia Johnson, a grassroots organizer who is on the board of COMTO, Hampton Roads. Well, everyone, hello and welcome to Another View.
Thank you.
Well, Prescott, I'm going to start with you to explain to everyone what COMTO is.
Okay, great. Thanks, Lisa. Thanks for having me, first of all. COMTO, the Conference of Minority Transportation Officials, is an organization that was started in 1971 on the campus of Howard University by three gentlemen who saw a need to develop a strategy to try to create a level playing field for minorities and women in the transportation, back then, mostly transit industry. Today, the organization has 39 chapters all over the U.S., and Hampton Roads is just one of those chapters. And as you stated, I am the chapter president now, and we've got several events going on that we're pretty excited about coming up, starting with our annual golf tournament on 15 October, and then our hub conference, or historically underutilized business conference, and then we have what we call a mentor 5K run Saturday the 17th. So we're pretty excited about the things that we're doing and what COMTO has to offer, and we're glad to be here to talk about it.
Well, now, who can be a member or become a member of COMTO? Do you have to be a contractor?
No. The COMTO opens its arms to anyone who has a transportation-related interest, whether it's direct or indirect. You don't have to be an official, meaning an agency member or employee of an agency, or you don't have to be a contractor. You could be a student and be a member of COMTO. There's several ways that you can join COMTO. You can go to at the national level, you can go to www.comto.org, and you can sign on there as a membership, pull down the membership application, or you can go to locally www.comto.hr info, and you can also go there, get information, and learn how to join the organization.
Okay, all righty. Senator Miller, transportation. You chair a committee. We've spoken before. When I was reporting, I would cover transportation issues, and it seemed at one point there was a whole lot of transportation projects that were out there. We were trying to get them all done, and now I'm hearing they're trying to wind it down to maybe one or two projects. Tell me where things are at this point.
Well, transportation needs money. And the reason the number seems to be shrinking is because it's realistic to try to get one or two projects funded rather than to try to get a number of projects funded. However, we can't do anything in transportation without money. Normally, transportation is a partnership between the federal government and the state and the local government. What has happened to us recently is that the state money is shrinking, and it's shrinking very rapidly so that we don't have money to put into new projects. And people are spending more and more times in long lines waiting to get from one place to another, but they still are not of a mind to pay for transportation. Some of the ideas on the table include putting tolls on existing facilities to help build new facilities or to renovate existing facilities. Some ideas include public-private partnerships where it's profitable for private people to invest or private companies to invest in public service projects in transportation and reap benefits from those, a profit. We are in a very bad place in Virginia because our ability to expand economically is based on the kind of infrastructure that we have. We live in a marvelous area where there are a lot of communities, but we can't tie them together. We're trying in Norfolk with the light rail, but it should be all of the 8 city areas so that we could move freely. That would generate a lot of business opportunities, but we aren't willing yet to pay for it.
Okay. Tamara, on that note, as she mentioned light rail, tell me where things are right now with HRT and the involvement with minority contractors and underutilized businesses.
Well, so far with the light rail project, we are about halfway done. We just celebrated some of those milestones with the walking tour downtown. Prior to the start of the light rail project, we held 2 one-day workshops to inform the minority community about the different projects that would be coming out for bid. And during that process, we informed them of how they could become certified and the details that they would need to know to bid on the certain projects for the light rail. Currently, we have about 53 contractors that are working on the TIDE project. That makes up about 26% of our total contractors for the project. 23, which I'm happy to say, are women-owned as well. So.
Okay. Now, the project's about halfway done. Is it too late if you're a contractor and you want to
We have one more contract out for bid. That's going to be our park and ride contract, and so that will be coming up in the next couple of months to be out for bid, and we're going to inform the minority community as well as the community at large about when that process will be. Usually in the newspapers, we have a Facebook, we put it on GoHRT.com, and you can get all that information also at the Ride the Tide website.
Okay. All righty. Since we're talking about getting people involved and finding out what's going on, what's out there? What's being done to get the word out?
As Mr. Sherrod mentioned, that COMTO Hampton Roads is doing quite a few things to engage the public. We find that it's very important to make sure not only that we engage them, but the information is readily available. We understand that people also process information differently, so we have to utilize a variety of sources that may be the social media piece, including the internet, Facebook, Twittering. We're looking at print media as well that is available, i.e. the newspaper, newsletters. Also, we're looking at opportunities where we can have possibly public meetings or possibly roundtable discussions to get the public engaged, to get those questions answered. So like I said, with COMTO HR, we're doing a variety of things. We'd like, as Mr. Sherrod mentioned, for individuals to visit us on our website, send their email information, or possibly update us with their contact information so that we can include them on the ongoing activities.
Okay. Well, we all know we definitely need some transportation projects, and I'm sure the contractors would definitely welcome them coming to our area. When we were speaking earlier, we were talking about the need to actually get these projects done.
And this is a good time to do it because 100 members of the House of Delegates are up for election in November. And the House of Delegates has been the place where transportation projects, at least proposed legislation to raise the money, have died. So if people are serious about an interest in doing something about transportation, this is the time to go to the forums where politicians are trying to get reelected. This is the time when they come to your church to ask for your vote, to ask questions about what will you do to move the transportation agenda forward. This is the time to ask them to make it very clear what they are willing to do to improve transportation in the region. With 100 people running statewide for the House of Delegates, this is the perfect time to do something about transportation. You have the leverage because they want to get back in office. But if you permit them to sign the no tax pledges, and if you permit them to play games about improving VDOT and not putting money in transportation, And shame on you. You'll stay in those long lines.
Okay.
Along I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Along a similar thing about what Ms. Senator Yvonne is speaking of, we have an I Want More campaign where we encourage people to visit us on our website or call in and submit comments that they want to have sent to their city council members. And it's the I Want More campaign through HRT, through Hampton Roads Transit. It's at gohrt.com. You don't even have to figure out who your council person is. You sign up, you put your information, you tell us what type of transportation or what type of routes you feel like or what services you could be better served by, and then we send that information on to the council people directly for them. So we also are trying to facilitate that two-way communication between our riding public and between council members as well.
You know, this is a very exciting time for COMTO HR, Hampton Roads. As the senator just talked about, you know, there is no money for transportation. You know, one of the things that COMTO HR has done is we've conducted two now what we call regional roundtable discussions, for which the senator participated in both. Thank you. And some of the things that came out of some of those roundtables was just that there's no money. The Secretary of Transportation for the Commonwealth, you know, gave a very, very deliberate and depiction of what the state of transportation is regarding funds. And again, no money. But at the same time, he made a point to say that, you know, Hampton Roads in particular have special needs because of, we're different than a lot of other regional areas because we've got bridges and tunnels, you know, which in itself costs more money to maintain, to build, to expand upon. But I just feel as though that, you know, yes, there is a need there. And that need, if we don't satisfy that need, we're going to continue to threaten our economic vitality, therefore the quality of life for the area. Just like with a parent with special needs child, that parent does whatever it can to make sure that it can address the needs of that child, make sure that child has a great opportunity to have a good quality of life. And I don't see it any different than that respect to transportation in this area.
And there is another issue to be raised. If we had a major hurricane and they closed all the tunnels, how would we get out of here? The only route is 460. 460, as it is now constituted, is not a good way to evacuate all the people who would need to get out of Virginia Beach, Norfolk, and Chesapeake. We would just have to say, Lord, here we are. Receive us. And I think we ought to really think about this in a serious way. We have really been very fortunate. The serious hurricanes have skirted our area, but at some point, we are going to be hit with something, and it would be awful to have a huge loss of life because we have not planned well, executed well, the transportation that we know. We know we're heavily impacted by water. We know it costs more money to do anything when you are heavily impacted by water, and yet we're saying we don't really want to do anything because we don't want to pay for it.
Yeah, where do we go when you have, say, the referendum years ago? People said, not even a penny, we're not going to pay it. So where do we go?
Unfortunately, we go nowhere. And so we are stuck with people who are highly prepared to build the roads, to improve the transportation system. They don't have work and they don't have jobs. So many of those people will leave our areas and go to areas where they can find work. It's important for us to maintain the know-how that we have in preparing the transportation system. People who know how to deal with a heavily water-impacted area. People who know how to build roads. People who know how to manage and build rapid transportation. Think about what it would be like if you could get on something in Norfolk and end up in Suffolk and never have to drive.
That's right.
Or go from Norfolk to Virginia Beach and not have to drive. Norfolk to Chesapeake. Norfolk to any of the areas around and not have to drive. Our vision for our area is impacted by the lack of an efficient transportation structure.
You know, and I think it's not just the legislators, it's not just the administrators. I think it's all of our responsibility. I think as citizens, we have a responsibility as well. You know, we can't just rely on Washington. We just can't rely on Richmond. And we have to rely on ourselves as well. So we have a role, we have a stake in this process as well. So we have to really decide what it is we want to do. Do we really want to do this? And do we really want better transportation? Do we really want a better quality of life? And if the answer is yes, then we're going to dig deep to make it happen. That's what we're going to do.
Well, how are you convincing these business owners when they come to these conferences they don't need to go somewhere else because, you know, we're not building like we should be building?
Well, first of all, you know, there are, number one, we have to educate them and let them know what the opportunities are here in the Commonwealth, and specifically here in Hampton Roads. And that's one of the things that our Hub Conference will do. You know, the theme this year for our Hub Conference is transportation-oriented development, you know, connecting businesses, connecting communities. You know, it's going to focus on a couple different topics, from light rail to high-speed rail to advocacy tips, to preparing these businesses for their ability to compete on these opportunities that are there. The first thing is, I know I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a business owner as well. So therefore, if I get wind that there's opportunity, you know, for me to continue to develop and grow my business and provide the services back to my community, oh yeah, I'm going to take a close look at that, and I'm going to get excited about doing whatever we can to position ourselves to be successful in winning contracts.
So you were about to say something.
And not only that from the business standpoint, but from a community level, you know, working very a lot in the community when we have our community meetings and we have different forums where people can voice their opinion about how they would like for transportation to be improved. Oftentimes people in the community don't attend these meetings. And so that's another way. We have different social aspects of like social media for our Facebook and our Twitter, where we provide the opportunity for two-way communication directly to the agency to say, hey, we want more bus service in Virginia Beach, or we want more bus service in Chesapeake. So often when I'm in the field, I hear the complaints about what we don't have or what we're not spending money on. However, when we provide these opportunities at public meetings or at public forums, the community doesn't get involved. So that's another easy way to just come to a meeting and tell us what you're thinking. Tell us what you're thinking about the long-term range transportation plan and what we can do better. So I think we should utilize those avenues more as well.
Okay.
I have to agree with her as well. I think the concern for most of us is that we have information to share, but we need the community to feel as if they are part of this. We need them to take the responsibility to go on Twitter, to go on Facebook, to take advantage of these public forums, to voice their opinion. These are some things that we're pushing for. We're creating avenues to inform you, but we need you to feel as if you really need to take part and to become engaged in the process.
Okay. Now we're almost out of time. We just have a couple of minutes left, and I want to ask Senator Miller, you know, as a member of the general public, what do I do? Who do I talk to? Who do I call?
You are represented by two people in the Virginia General Assembly, a senator and a delegate. The first start is with the people that represent you. When I say you, I mean representing your address where you live. Your delegate and your senator should hear from you, and then branch out and talk to people in your church, people in your social clubs, people that you interact with at work, so that you start a dialogue about the fact that we must improve transportation in order to improve our quality of life, and we must come to a realization that you have to pay for it. And that's hard. You're going to either pay tolls, you're going to make some other people very rich who are going to enter into public-private partnerships, and you're going to pay more for your roads than you would pay if you just paid a little more in taxes, some kind, to have the roads built. You need to start that conversation in the community so people will understand that there is no free lunch for transportation. And you can't take it out of the general fund, because that's designed to pay for schools, for health care, for other human services that we need. And now you have people running to become governor, and some of them have what I call fuzzy ideas, and they actually mean they're going to try to take it out of the general fund. They're going to cut off needed services in order to pay for transportation. We don't need to rob Peter to pay Paul. We need all the services we have plus more, plus we need money for transportation.
Okay. Thank you so much. And someplace where you can definitely find out some more information and get to talk is at the conference. Just a reminder, the COMTO Hampton Roads Transportation Weekend kicks off next Thursday, October 15th, with its 6th annual Golf Classic. On Friday, it's the 2nd annual Historically Underutilized Business or HUB conference. Now this year the theme is transportation-oriented development, connecting business, connecting community. And on Saturday, it's the COMTO Hampton Roads Mentor 5K Walk Run. To register, just log on to www.comtohr.info. A very special thanks to our guest, Senator Yvonne Miller, Prescott Sherrod, Tamara, Poulson, and Shelia Johnson. And when we come back, we'll take you on a journey that doesn't require wheels. But first, here's what's happening in Hampton Roads. Years ago, the African Americans' role in helping build this country was virtually overlooked, but that's no longer the case. Not only have we seen the history books that our children and grandchildren read change to reflect our contributions and our sacrifice, but we can also see it in museums, discussed at forums, and depicted in plays. In Colonial Williamsburg, there's even a walking tour that looks at the role of slaves in early Virginia, where the interpreter doesn't hold back.
If you don't have questions, you will at the end of this tour.
Harold Caldwell tells a story that most taking this walking tour have never heard in such vivid detail, specifically the plight of Africans in early America and the role they played in shaping Williamsburg and the nation.
You are captured, and your journey will now begin. Your journey from being a free person to being a slave.
As the visitors step in closer, Caldwell paints a picture that's been left out of most history books.
And you are chained or bound together with other Africans that don't look like your countrymen from all over the continent of West Africa. Now, your journey to that coast of Africa could be anywhere from 20 miles to 300 miles. And when you are taken to a large building, a castle, and you will be put in a room a little bit larger than the ticket office there. It's dark, it's damp, and you hear moans. They grab up men, women, and children, they take them outside, and you hear those men, women, and children screaming out, calling out in agony. Well, that's because they are being processed. They are being branded.
Caldwell, a history major specializing in Pan-African studies, makes sure visitors grasp the conditions of the journey from one coast to another.
For 2.5 months, and you folks follow me, and on some days you might have nice clear days where that ocean is calm, and then other days where you are experiencing a storm and that ship is being thrashed about.
I've learned a lot of things about slaves that I didn't know. Like, I didn't know that they would even ask for their freedom. I thought they would just, like, maybe run away if they could.
I didn't know slaves were, like, kept on ships to get chained together, and that they would actually jump into the water.
He doesn't sugarcoat what the slaves endured. He covers everything from disease on board ships to death, and later, the auction block. He says it's not always easy to convince people that slaves faced a long and hard struggle for their freedom.
He says that the stench of the hold while we were on the coast was so intolerably loathsome that it was dangerous to remain there for any time. It's interesting, like I said, when people don't believe us and we have to go to the documents and kind of show them, say, hey, we're not making this up, this is actually recorded. So we'll use documentation like, let's say, inventories, diaries, wills, letters written by enslaved people and free blacks to kind of form this story when we talk about the institution of slavery. Some people don't like hearing about the Founding Fathers, a lot of them being slave owners. That bothers them, makes them feel uncomfortable. We have some folks, and it's amazing because when we have some folks at the beginning of the tour, they're standing there with their hands, crossed, so they're looking like they want to stab me, looking at me with daggers in their eyes. And at the end of the tour, some of them come up to me and they start shaking my hand. And that's one of the reasons why I do this job, because now I changed a perception that they had, a misconception. If you can't pay that fine, that child will be taken away from that mother and bound out in servitude to the church. So yeah, it's definitely a unique job. You definitely have to be made of made of something to be able to do this job.
Not only does he have to prove that slavery was a struggle, he also has to convince people that he's not portraying a character.
A lot of folks assume that we portray characters, and believe it or not, I would not do this job if I had to portray a character.
His title is actually history interpreter, and he is very passionate about educating people about slavery. So passionate that he spends his days off reading and researching history.
It's amazing, and that's why I continually read and read and read. So I'm just like inundated with books and research. Sometimes I need to take a break, but I can't help it because I love to read. So I'm always in the books, or I'm always in the bookstore and everything else. So yesterday on my day off, I was actually in the library doing research.
Caldwell plans to continue his studies at Hampton University, all the while taking on the tough job of telling a story that for many is tough to hear.
Is seat of the county court.
Now, you can catch the walking tour every day except Wednesdays and Sundays in Colonial Williamsburg. It's definitely an eye-opening experience. That's it for this edition of Another View. If you'd like the show, please sign up for our eView newsletter, a once-a-week reminder of what's coming up on future shows. Please visit www.anotherview.tv to subscribe, or you could write us at 5200 Hampton Boulevard, Norfolk. We'd love to hear from you. Next week, the fight against childhood obesity, what we can do to keep our children healthy and strong. We'll see you next week on Another View. Good night.